I knew something was wrong the moment I saw the lock to my storage unit lying on the ground like a murdered witness. It wasn't cut clean. No, it was violently chewed through, metal edges twisted outward like it had been torn by someone in a furious hurry. And the very next second, before my brain even had time to process the shock, my stomach dropped with a terrifying realization. My scooter was gone. Not just any scooter. The scooter assigned to me for a federal sting operation I wasn't even supposed to talk about, let alone lose. I felt the blood drain from my face as I whispered to myself, no, this can't be happening. But it was. Someone had stolen it, and I had a very bad feeling that I already knew who. Before I dive into the madness that followed, let me give you a quick summary so you don't think I'm some irresponsible idiot who leaves government property lying around. A couple of weeks before this incident, I had been recruited as a civilian asset for a joint federal-local sting. Long story short, my ordinary-looking scooter had been fitted with a tracking device, hidden cameras, and a compartment containing bait items meant to catch a group stealing vehicles around our neighborhood. The scooter wasn't a toy. It was evidence, surveillance, and a trap, all in one, and I was trusted to keep it safe. So imagine my horror when I walked into the storage unit and found nothing but the echo of my failure staring back at me. And that's when I saw it, caught on the dusty floor, a familiar pair of cheap sunglasses with rhinestones shaped like cat ears. The kind of accessory only one person in the HOA wore proudly, Karen. Before I get into what actually happened next, let me introduce myself properly, because trust me, you need context for this kind of chaos. My name is Ray, not Raymond, not Reynard, just Ray. I live in a quiet-ish suburban community where the most dangerous thing used to be the neighbour's toddler running around with a plastic rake. I'm a pretty normal guy, late 20s, part-time mechanic, full-time trouble magnet apparently. I've always kept to myself until this mission dragged me into federal drama that I was definitely not emotionally prepared for. And if you're wondering how I ended up working with a federal task force, let's just say being a mechanic who fixes everything from golf carts to motorcycles puts you in the perfect position to notice things others don't. And when I spotted a pattern in the local vehicle thefts and handed my notes to the police, they dragged me into this undercover project. Lucky me, right? Now back to the disaster at hand. I picked up the rhinestone sunglasses and stared at them with a bitterness I didn't even know I was capable of. Karen from the HOA wasn't just a problem. She was a walking, talking migraine in human form. A woman who believed the entire neighborhood was her kingdom and we were all her badly behaved subjects. She'd harassed me for having a non-regulation color mailbox, fined me once for parking too confidently, and once tried to ban me from attending the community potluck because my food wasn't organic. So of course, she'd cut open a storage unit she didn't own. Of course, she'd go after something that wasn't her business. But stealing a federal sting scooter? That was next-level madness. I stormed back out of the storage building, clutching those stupid sunglasses like they were Exhibit A in a courtroom drama. My brain was racing in every direction at once. I had to get the scooter back. If I didn't, I would be done. Not just with the task force, but legally. These people didn't play around. Losing government property wasn't like losing your keys or forgetting where you parked your car. This was the kind of screw-up that came with paperwork, interrogations, and possibly handcuffs if things went badly enough. I needed to think fast. As I walked through the neighborhood, trying to figure out how I was going to explain any of this, I caught myself looking at the sky and mentally screaming. I swear, if anyone had seen me right then, they would have thought I was losing my mind. And hey, if you're still reading this, tell me honestly, would you panic too, or would you have fainted right there? Because I was really close, I won't lie. Anyway, my first instinct was to check Karen's backyard. Not because she hides stolen property there, although honestly I wouldn't put it past her, but because she treats her backyard like it's a junkyard/throne room. Random lawn decorations, illegal statues the HOA guidelines definitely didn't approve, and a garden area that looked more like a crime scene for murdered plants. But before I could reach her house, I saw her. Karen. Marching down the sidewalk like she was starring in a reality show no one asked for. And she was pushing something. A scooter. My scooter. She wasn't riding it. Thank God, because if she had crashed it, that would have been a disaster beyond anything I could explain. But she was dragging it behind her like she had found a lost puppy she was rescuing. And she was talking to herself. "No one is allowed to store unapproved vehicles on community property," she muttered loudly. "I don't care what the rules say. If I see an eyesore, I remove it. This neighborhood will not turn into a junkyard, not on my watch." She sounded exactly like every HOA meme on the internet. I actually froze in the middle of the sidewalk, because part of me couldn't believe this was happening, and the other part of me was trying very hard not to run over there and scream. I took a deep breath and approached her slowly. "Karen!" I called, keeping my voice level. "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" She turned around with that classic HOA smirk, one eyebrow raised, lips pursed, the look of someone who believed she was about to win a fight she started in her own imagination. "Oh, Ray, I was just coming to speak with you," she said. "This thing was found stored improperly and It's mine," I said immediately, "and you cut my lock to take it." She folded her arms. "It wasn't an approved storage lock, and besides, you can't just keep contraband vehicles around." "It's not contraband," I said, trying to keep my voice from shaking, "and you had no right to take it." She scoffed. "Well, if you didn't want anyone touching it, maybe you shouldn't have hidden it like some kind of criminal. What are you, running a smuggling ring?" I nearly laughed, not because it was funny, but because the irony was painful. If only she knew. But I couldn't tell her. I couldn't say a single word about what the scooter was really for. I couldn't explain the hidden surveillance tech or the ongoing sting. I couldn't mention the fact that the scooter had a tracker the task force monitored. And I definitely couldn't tell her that federal agents were probably already wondering why their undercover asset's vehicle had suddenly been moved. I glanced at the scooter and noticed something that made my stomach twist again. The side compartment was slightly open. Not fully, not dramatically, but enough that I instantly knew she had tried to access it. If she had touched the inside compartment, which contained bait items meant to catch actual criminals, this situation had already escalated 10 times worse. I stepped closer, trying to hide the urgency in my voice. "Karen, I need the scooter back, right now. It's important." She narrowed her eyes. "Important? Oh, important enough that it needed to be hidden from the HOA? Important enough that I found suspicious-looking electronics inside?" She crossed her arms with a dramatic gasp. "Are you spying on the community?" I swear, for half a second, I genuinely thought I might pass out. "No, it's nothing like that, okay? The scooter is part of—" I stopped myself. "It's personal, please." She smirked again. "No, I'm taking it to the HOA office. We're going to have a meeting about this." A meeting. She wanted to drag my federal surveillance scooter into the HOA office like some kind of evidence for a neighborhood witch trial. "No," I said firmly. "Karen, you can't take it there." "Oh," she said sweetly. "Watch me." And that's when I saw the worst possible thing happening at the worst possible moment. A black SUV turned the corner, the kind with tinted windows and a government-issued license plate, the task force vehicle. They were coming to check on the scooter's location. They were coming because I'd failed, because the tracker had shown the scooter was moved without authorization. I felt my heart race as the SUV slowed, approaching us. Karen's eyes widened. "Who is that? Is that your gang?" Before I could respond, the SUV parked beside us and the passenger window rolled down just enough for a voice to speak. "Asset Ray," the agent said sharply. "Step away from the civilian. Is that the unit vehicle?" Karen gasped so loudly I thought she might choke. "Unit? Civilian? Excuse me, what is going on? Did I just steal government property?" The agent shot her a deadpan stare. "Ma'am, please step back from the scooter." And that is when Karen fainted. Just collapsed, like a broken lawn ornament. "Great," I muttered. "Perfect, amazing." The agent stepped out, his expression annoyed. "Ray, what the hell happened?" I rubbed my face. "Please don't ask, just help me put the scooter back. We need to fix the compartment." She opened it. The agent swore under his breath. "We have to wipe the prints, and she can't know about the sting." I looked down at unconscious Karen and whispered, "Trust me, she already knows more than she should. And by the way, if you've been reading this far, tell me, what would you do if you found yourself in this situation? Would you run? Pretend you don't know anything? Because honestly, I considered both. The agent and I lifted the scooter into the SUV while Karen lay snoring on the sidewalk. And I swear I wasn't prepared for what happened next. The moment we loaded the scooter into the SUV, I felt the weight of everything hit me at once. Panic, relief, embarrassment, and a burning frustration that made me want to scream into the sky. Karen was still lying unconscious on the sidewalk, and I honestly didn't know whether to shake her awake or let her sleep off the shock of discovering she'd basically committed a federal-level oopsie. The agent, Harper, closed the SUV trunk and gave me a look I'd grown painfully familiar with over the past few weeks, a mix of irritation, disappointment, and the exhausted patience of someone who regretted ever involving me in this operation. "We're going to circle around the block," he said quietly. "You go wake her up and make sure she doesn't remember anything important. Keep it simple." I blinked at him. "Keep it simple? Harper, she thinks she stole a scooter from a cartel or something. You heard her. She fainted before she understood anything clearly." He sighed. "Just handle it, and keep your mouth shut about the operation. We'll smooth the rest." The SUV pulled away, leaving me alone with the chaos and an unconscious HOA dictator at my feet. I crouched beside her and gently nudged her shoulder. "Karen? Hey, Karen, wake up." She let out a dramatic groan, fluttering her eyes open like some Victorian lady recovering from too much fainting practice. She looked around, confused at first, then suddenly panicked as the memory came crashing back. Where did the men go? The federal men? The car? Oh my God, am I going to jail?" I forced myself to stay calm. "Karen, listen to me. It wasn't what you think." Her eyes widened even more. "Were they FBI? CIA? Some underground biker gang? Why would a biker gang drive a government SUV?" I muttered. She ignored the comment entirely. "Ray," she whispered, grabbing my arm like she was clinging to life itself, "did I steal from the government?" I took a deep breath. "You took something that wasn't yours. That's it. They just needed to verify it wasn't, dangerous." "Oh my God, it was dangerous. No, not dangerous. Just special." She squinted suspiciously. "Special how?" I swallowed. "Collector's item." She stared at me. "A collector's item? With hidden electronics inside?" "Great. Fantastic. Perfect." She noticed every detail. "It's a hobby project," I said quickly. "I installed tracking kits and sensors for clients. That scooter was fitted for a tech demo, and you kind of interrupted the project." Her mouth formed a tiny O of realization, then she pressed her palms against her cheeks. "I thought it was some kind of illegal device. I was trying to protect the neighborhood." I wasn't sure if she genuinely believed that, or was already rewriting history in her mind to make herself the hero, but at this point I just needed her calm. "Well, it's handled. They took it for damage inspection. You're not in trouble." She exhaled dramatically. "Thank heavens. I don't look good in orange." I didn't respond. Neither did I point out that orange was probably her best color based on the rest of her wardrobe. Instead, I helped her stand, and she brushed dirt off her skirt with exaggerated disgust. "I didn't faint," she said suddenly. "You definitely fainted," I replied. "No," she snapped, straightening her spine. "I merely lowered myself to the ground in shock." "Uh-huh." She glared at me. "I expect your storage lock replacement to follow HOA standards. I don't want unapproved materials used again." There it was. The Karen I knew. The Karen who could go from fainting over federal agents to lecturing me about lock standards in less than a minute. I forced a smile. "I'll look into that." She sniffed, nodded like she was granting me mercy, and walked away, clutching her rhinestone sunglasses like precious treasure. I watched her go, shaking my head as the absurdity of everything washed over me. When she finally disappeared through her front door, I pulled out my phone. A text from Harper appeared. "Meet at the workshop." Now. I sighed and headed toward my garage, a small mechanic shop I rented space in a few blocks from the neighborhood. My heart was still pounding, my mind spinning with worst-case scenarios. By the time I reached the workshop, the SUV was already parked outside. Harper and another task force member, Lane, were waiting, arms crossed, expressions serious. The moment I stepped closer, Harper pointed at me. "Explain." I threw my hands up. "She cut my lock. She stole the scooter. What was I supposed to do, wrestle her on the sidewalk?" Lane snorted. "Honestly, that might have been easier." I shot him a glare. "She had bolt cutters. Bolt cutters. Who casually walks around with bolt cutters? HOA presidents, Lane deadpanned. Harper shook his head. Ray, the compartment was open. That's a problem. I didn't open it. We know you didn't open it, but she did. He rubbed his temples. And worst of all, she handled the bait items. Her fingerprints are all over them. I winced. I'm guessing that's bad. That's extremely bad, Harper said. It contaminates the whole setup. We can't use those items anymore. I felt guilt crawl up my spine. I'm sorry. I didn't expect her to break into the unit. No one expects an HOA president to break into federal equipment, Lane muttered. It's not exactly protocol. I looked at both of them. Okay, but what's the plan now? The operation, does it continue? Harper glanced at Lane before responding. Yes, but we're adjusting. The thieves we're targeting have been active again. We can't rely on compromised equipment, so we're switching tactics. I nodded slowly. And what does that mean for me? Lane smirked. It means, Ray, you're going to play a bigger role. Great. Fantastic. Exactly what I needed. More involvement. More ways to accidentally ruin my life. Harper opened the workshop door and wheeled in something covered with a tarp. Since the scooter is compromised, we're giving you a new bait vehicle. No, I said instantly. No more scooters. No more anything. I can't handle another Karen incident. Lane lifted the tarp with a flourish. Too late. Underneath was a sleek electric bike. Black, quiet, clearly fitted with new surveillance gear. A much higher value target. Oh, hell no, I whispered. Oh, hell yes, Lane countered. You want the operation to succeed, right? I groaned. I'm not even trained for this. You're trained enough, Harper said, and you're the only one who can blend into this neighborhood. The thieves don't suspect you, and frankly, after today, they definitely won't expect us to reuse bait the very same afternoon. I ran a hand through my hair. And Karen? Harper exhaled. She's not the threat here. Forget Karen. I wished I could. But something inside me said this wasn't over. Not even close. They walked me through the setup, the tracking, the plan. The electric bike needed to be parked somewhere visible but tempting. Somewhere the thieves would think they could take it before anyone noticed. I knew exactly the place, right outside the community park, where vehicles frequently disappeared. As evening approached, I wheeled the new bike into place. It sat near the sidewalk, angled casually like someone had left it for a few minutes. My heart hammered in my chest. I wasn't a cop. I wasn't undercover. I was just a mechanic with anxiety issues and an unstoppable Karen in his neighborhood. Harper and Lane monitored everything from a few blocks away. All I had to do was be nearby, pretend I wasn't part of anything, and keep eyes open. Easy, supposedly. Minutes passed, then an hour, then another. The sky darkened, crickets chirped, and my nerves tightened. I kept checking my phone even though I knew they'd text me if something happened. At one point, I even pulled out my camera and recorded a quick clip for my socials, half to distract myself, half to vent. Guys, I whispered into the camera, if I disappear tonight, just know it's because my HOA president unleashed chaos on a government sting operation, and now I'm stuck babysitting a federal electric bike in the dark. I added, also, let me know in the comments, does this look like a good hiding spot or does it scream steal me? I hit save and put my phone away. Just as I turned around, I froze. A shadow moved near the bike. My breath caught. A figure stepped closer, a lanky man in a hoodie, wearing gloves, looking around nervously. Not Karen, not a neighbor. Someone I didn't recognize. My pulse spiked. I sent a quick text to Harper. Movement. Hoodie guy. Approaching bike. The man crouched beside the electric bike, inspecting it, tapping the handlebars to check sturdiness. He moved with speed, muscle memory. Someone who'd stolen vehicles before. My throat tightened as he pulled a tool from his pocket. I stayed still, watching from behind a tree. He cut the first cable, then the second. Then he lifted the bike and started walking quickly toward the trail exit. I texted, he's taking it. Heading east trail. Harper replied instantly, hold position. Do not engage. Tracking activated. I exhaled shakily. In that moment, despite everything, the stress, the chaos, the involvement, I felt relief. The operation was working. The bait was taken. The thieves would lead the task force straight to their hideout. But of course, life wasn't done slapping me around. Because right then, right as the thief disappeared with the bike, I heard the most horrifying sound imaginable. Ray? What's going on over there? I whipped around. Karen, standing on her porch, holding a binocular. A binocular, singular, one giant cartoonish binocular like she was a pirate, and she was staring directly at me. I felt my soul leave my body. She stormed toward me. Why are you lurking behind trees? Why are you watching strangers steal things? Why is there suspicious activity near the community park? Is this about that scooter again? I panicked. Karen, please, go home. No, she cried. Something's going on, and I will not let this neighborhood fall apart. She marched right toward the trail exit. I blocked her path. Karen, stop, please. You don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly, she snapped. You are part of something dangerous, and as HOA president, I demand answers. Before I could stop her, she let out a shrill whistle. Where she got the whistle from, I'll never know, and yelled, "Stop! OA security!" There was no HOA security. She was HOA security, but her shout echoed. The thief heard it. I watched in horror as the man with the bike turned around, spotted us, and broke into a sprint, straight toward a small getaway truck parked in the shadows. Harper's texts came in rapid fire. "Ray, what the hell was that? Why did someone yell? Is that Karen?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. The truck roared to life. Tires screeched. The thief and his crew sped away before the task force vehicle could intercept from the other street. The operation, days of preparation, surveillance, planning, collapsed because of one woman with one whistle. Karen put her hands on her hips. There, I scared them away. They won't steal anything else in this neighborhood. I stared at her, speechless. Actually speechless. My phone buzzed. Harper again. Abort location. Meet back at workshop. Now! I looked at Karen. Go home, I said quietly. Please, just go home. She opened her mouth to argue, but I walked away. I didn't trust myself not to scream. Not tonight. At the workshop, the air felt heavy. Harper paced. Lane rubbed his face tiredly. Harper finally looked at me. Well, Ray, that was a disaster. I know, I said. I know, I'm sorry. He sighed. It's not your fault, but we lost the trail. The trackers didn't stay active long enough. The thieves found them and removed the chip. So that's it? I whispered. Operation failed? Not entirely, he said. We got partial footage, enough to identify 2 of them. We'll follow up. Lane added, and the neighbors might talk about a crazy lady screaming HOA security for weeks, so that helps too. I let out a humorless laugh. Great. Harper stepped closer and put a hand on my shoulder. We're pulling you from the operation, not because you messed up, but because your neighborhood is too unpredictable. Just say it, I muttered. Because of Karen. Because of Karen, he agreed. I nodded. I didn't argue. He continued, you did your part. We'll handle the rest. Lane grinned. Besides, if we let you continue, Karen might blow our cover entirely, or try to arrest one of us with a garden rake. I snorted. Honestly, she would. She definitely would, Harper said. We wrapped up the night, exchanged final details, and they drove off with the electric bike. The workshop fell silent. As I locked up, I replayed everything. The scooter theft, the fainting, the whistle ambush, the failed sting. I expected to feel defeated, but weirdly, I felt lighter, like the storm was finally passing. When I got home, Karen was standing on her lawn, arms folded, waiting for me. I groaned. Karen, please, not tonight. She hesitated. Then, to my shock, she said quietly, Ray, I'm sorry. I froze. She continued, I thought I was helping. I didn't know I was making things worse. I studied her face. There was no sarcasm, no theatrics, just honesty. Rare, but real. It's okay, I said eventually. Just be careful. Not everything is your responsibility. She nodded slowly. Maybe, but this neighborhood is important to me. I nodded back. I know. She took a deep breath. Well, good night then. Good night, Karen. She walked inside. I exhaled deeply, stepped into my house and shut the door. It had been the longest, most chaotic 24 hours of my life, but somehow everything was okay. The scooter was safe. The task force was still on the case. Karen didn't go to jail. And most importantly, I was done. I collapsed onto my couch and stared at the ceiling. And after a long silence, I whispered to myself, I'm never owning another scooter again.